Hi, and welcome to the 29th episode of The Sheepish Magpie. Welcome. How are you doing? It's been so cold here this week. I know there's been some places across North America that are way colder than it's been here in Toronto, but wow, what a cold week. I am so ready for things to be warmer. Today things were already a little bit warmer and it was really nice, and so we've got some nicer weather over the weekend and I can't wait. I didn't even want to go into the garage. It was so cold, never mind all the way outside, and dropping the kids off in the morning and picking them up was just sheer torture, having to get in and out of the car. But hopefully things are on the upswing as far as temperatures go, and we can enjoy some warmer weather. Tonight I'm drinking some hibiscus tea, getting some nice vitamin C in there. It's a little bit sweet, a little bit tart, so that's pretty yummy. My running's been going pretty well. I'm training for a half marathon, and this week my mileage got up to around 20 kilometers with a good long run of 12 kilometers. And so I'm trying to get out running 3 to 4 times a week. Tomorrow I'm going to do an 8-kilometer run and just really work on getting my mileage up. I'm really behind on my schedule for running, and so I'm just trying to do my best to get my mileage as high as I can, both in my long run and my weekly run, to give me the best chance of doing the half marathon and finishing with, I think, upright and smiling is the goal. This week I got a finished object. I finally finished my Lost in Time shawl. Here it is. And this is done in the gorgeous Feederbrook Farms in their Entropy. And this colorway is mostly cadmium. Now I ran out kind of in the last couple rows. This ended up being quite the yarn beast at the end, and so I had to do it in a little bit of a different colorway, but I think it turned out okay. And the tassels are done in the lighter colorway. But I'm really glad to have this done. It's been a project that's been in my pile for about a year now. But the best thing about this project was I learned a lot. I went into it knowing how to crochet and doing basic stitches, and I've done a few things. But with this pattern, I really learned how to do more advanced stitches, and so at first it was a little bit trepidatious about taking it on, but in the pattern there's enough repeats of just double crochet that you can kind of do there's a couple rows that are more difficult and have some different stitches in it, and then you just kind of move on to the double crochet. And yeah, I'm really pleased that I love this yarn and how it worked up in this pattern. Some of the ones that I've seen are a little bit crisper, and this doesn't have the same stitch definition, but I loved that it was just, long colors, and so I could use the one colorway, didn't have to worry about changing and weaving in lots of ends after every row, so it was a big win. So it's blocked and it was ready to show you, so I'm totally thrilled with that finished object. I also decided to make some coasters because I had quite a bit of little bits of yarn, and I'm trying to just use up those little bits of yarn as I go through them because I've got quite a stash of little tiny balls of yarn. So I made these cute little coasters, just really simple crocheted circles, and I think I'm going to put some felt on the back just to stabilize them a little bit, but I'm going to make 2 more of these and put them on my bedside table where I drink tea, and in our living room on the side table. So those were my finished objects this week. I'm still working on my socks, and I am almost to the heel of my second sock, and I can't wait to finish those because I have a pretty exciting sock yarn that came in the mail that I'm going to show you at the very end that I'm really super stoked to get put on my needle. So I'm going to finish these up. I still haven't worked on Jen's sweater. Her birthday's in a couple weeks and I really have to finish. I don't know, with this project, I absolutely loved it when I saw it in the yarn store, but I think I'm just over it because it's I think it's a 6 row repeat with cables. And I've just done so many iterations of these rows that I'm done. But I'm really on the last sleeve, and I think I mentioned before that I had done the sleeve. Maybe I didn't. I was working on the sleeve and it totally didn't work out. I don't know what I was doing. I'm not sure if I misread the pattern, but it worked out that the sleeve was going to be super wide. So I had to rip it all out. So I did start the sleeve again, and it's going much, much better. So I think I just need to plow through it and get it done and get it off my needles and get it ready to gift to Jen. So that's still on my needles, and those are the things that I'm actively working on, as well as my Find Your Fade sweater. So yeah, those are the projects that I'm working on, and you've seen those projects before. I didn't cast on anything new this week. Yay me! I'm trying to just work through some of those other projects, and I really wanted to get this done, so this took up most of my knitting time this week. Today I went on a special road trip. I went with my friend designer Evie Scott, and we headed into the city and went to a store called You Knits. So we did a little video. Here you go. Here we are. We've made it to You Knits. It's a nice winter day, and they've got their classes sign. So at the store, they did have plenty of yarn. They also had fabrics. I'm going to show you what I got. So I did get a couple skeins of Koigu, and this is their KPM. And I got this great kind of bubblegum pink color. And I decided that I was going to use it for the Girls Bears rainbow blanket. You've seen that project before. Because I just really like this pink, and I might swap out one of the other colors that I'm not as thrilled with, but I got that. And I thought, well, if I don't use all of it, it'll make a great pair of socks for Gwen. Gwen found some socks that I knit her last year, 18 months ago maybe even 2 years ago, and they were neon, and she loved them, and she put them on, and they're about an inch too short, but she still wore them. So she requested some more socks, and I haven't decided if I'm just going to take the toes out of those ones and reknit them, because I still have some of that yarn, and make them longer, or just give her a whole new pair of socks and call it a day. I also got 2 other skeins of KPM and KPPM. So this was the first one. This is the KPPM, and I absolutely adored this colorway. It reminded me of squash blossoms. There's quite a bit of green in it that's not showing up in this light quite as much, but I really like that, and I'm gonna find a sock pattern that looks kind of like blossoms and springy. I just thought it felt so springy, so I definitely picked that up. And then I also got this coordinating skein, and it is actually got quite a bit of pink in it. It's like a pinky yellow parchment color, but it's if I put it, maybe I've put it, you can see there's kind of some pink in there, and I think what I'm going to use it for is the contrasting toes and heels for this one. So that was the only yarn I bought, believe it or not. And I had wanted to get some yarn for a sweater for a pattern called Plaid. That's what it's called, yeah. And I just couldn't find enough skeins of the colors that I really liked. So I was looking in and trying to, let me see if I have a picture of the pattern for Plaid. And you need 3 skeins of yarn. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called tartan. Pardon me. You needed 3 different colors, and I needed 2 skeins of the same yarn, but I could only find one in the color I really liked. So that didn't come home with me, which was kind of sad. But I have a couple sweaters worth of sweater quantities and sweaters that I talked about casting on or have just done gauge swatches, so I probably should just work on that. So their lack of inventory in the color that I like saved me quite a bit of money. But oh well, I'm going to find the most perfect yarn for that at some point and cast that on, because I thought that sweater looked really cool. So when I decide what yarn I want to use with it, I will bring that pattern back out and show you in a little bit more detail, but that was tartan. The other things that I got at You Knit, I got this really cute little pouch, and this pouch is Liberty of London. So I really love the orange, the kind of bright retro color, sunshiny and bright. It's kind of a peachy orange color. I got that. And I also got one of my kids this needle felting kit. It's a Shibu Inu needle felting kit, and I thought that was super darling. So my kid is really talented and loves to draw, and I'm trying to expand his horizons in the crafting world. So we've talked about doing some needle felting. I'm going to teach him how to do crochet so that we can make some amigurumi together. But this was the first one, and he has a total love for Shibu Inu dogs. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, it's perfect. So I picked that up. And then the other thing that I got there were some Addi Flexi Tip needles, and wondering if these might make a better travel set of needles than my regular double pointed ones. The double pointed ones that I've been using have been the collage, the square ones, and I really like those, but they are kind of long and very pointy. So I'm thinking I'm going to try these out and see how I like them. And I also got some fabric to make my two little ones quilts. So I'm going to show you that, and I'll do a screenshot of the fabric that I got. But the quilts that I'm going to do, they're hand sewn quilts, and Evie is going to help me do them because I'm not a super great sewer and she is. So this one is really cute. It's got these little forest creatures on it. There's a deer and there's a little baby goat, and the coordinating fabric for the other side. And I also got some floss to do the hand stitching for those. And then I got my other daughter, this one's for Gwendolyn. I got her the same fabric, but it's more in pinks and greens. And here's her coordinating fabric for the other side, and the floss to do the hand stitching on that one. So those were Liberty of London prints as well. Oh my goodness, fabric is expensive. Total splurge, and the fact that I didn't find any yarn, more than those few skeins of the Koigu. Maybe that's why I went a little bit crazy. I anticipate making them and stitching them over the summer and giving to them as a Christmas present. And as I've mentioned in this video and previous videos, I'm also working on some crochet blankets for the girls, but those ones are going to be like bedspread size for a twin bed, and these ones aren't going to be. They're only going to be about meter and a half wide or so. So yeah, I'm super excited to try something new. I haven't done a lot of hand sewing quilting stuff. I definitely have a machine and know my way around that machine, but I haven't done a lot of crafty stuff with fabric other than making some pouches and that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to building up those skills, and I have wanted to get into quilting. So I think this is a really good project. I'm gonna machine sew the top and get it all ready, and then hand quilt it with some stitching and see where it gets me. So that's a project probably for over the summer. So that's what I got from Uniknits, and so that's still a pretty big haul. And when I bring it home now, I'm like, that doesn't seem very much, but boy, the bill certainly doesn't reflect that, particularly with those yards and yards of that Liberty of London fabric. But that was and anybody, I guess, who does buy fabric on a regular basis doesn't have sticker shock for those things, but for me it was like, oh my goodness. But I think it'll be worth it, and the fabric is so lovely. It's so fine and so soft, so I'm going to look forward to working with that and giving it to the girls. I did get some squishy mail this week, and the first thing that I got, was, I'm so super excited to cast that on. You can see it's my own custom mixtape, and if you haven't heard of Abby Grasso, her stuff is amazing. So what I got was this skein and these two coordinating skeins. She also sent this project bag, and on the card here there's a neat little pin. If you don't know her work, her website has a bunch of different kinds, but her website is Artistic Yarns by Abby, and she makes both self-striping yarn but also these picture yarns. And here's a picture of what my socks may look like, although they're all random. This is just an example, and you can see all those little pictures on them. And the way that the pictures come up is the yarn is dyed with those little repeats in it, and if you get the correct gauge, a picture comes out. And it's a little fiddly, but it's a lot of fun. So this is one of the socks that I made for Alden, and you can see that there was Pac-Man on it. I made this for him for Christmas last year, or his birthday last year, and this was one of the kits that I bought from Artistic Yarns by Abby. Now it's really, really, really pricey because it's handmade and she has to construct the yarn. I haven't quite figured out what her magic is, but it's really labor intensive. And so this kit was actually not a Pac-Man sock. It was a Pac-Man wrist, like a glove, a fingerless glove kit that I picked up, and it came with this extra yarn, and it happened to be that there was enough yarn in the kit to have 2 repeats of the Pac-Man and the green, this bright neon green and gray. and I had enough to make 2 youth socks, and I think I had some left over. And in fact, I don't know if it was an error or if it's normally, I thought I was only supposed to get 4 repeats, so 2 for each sock, but I actually got enough that I have 2 other repeats left over, so I can make a whole other pair of Pac-Man socks. But if you look really closely, you can see how it all kind of lines up. Now, what I found with knitting that with that yarn was that lots of times it didn't perfectly knit up, so I'd go back a couple stitches and just change the tension a little bit and kind of wiggle it into place, and it worked out. And eventually you kind of learn, the perfectionist in me had a little bit of an issue with it, but eventually you learn to just kind of let it go. And as long as your tension is pretty good, then the picture comes out just fine. So those are super fun. So with my mixed tape, I have no idea what these patterns are. She asked me, in the comment section to put what patterns of hers that I admired and kind of hoped that I could get. And there was a cactus one that I really liked and a sushi one, but those ones are not current. So I don't know. I have no idea what's in here, and it's not going to be the same. So she sends these little mini skeins to do the heels, the toes, the cuffs, and then these will just get knit up. So I'm definitely casting that on as soon as I finish my last sock to match this one. And it's definitely what I'm going to bring on my trip to knit, because I can't wait to see which little picture it is. The one thing that you got to know with these Artistic Yarns by Abby projects is that you can only knit them to 1 gauge. So you can't do a bigger or smaller sock. I think it's 64 stitches in there to 60 stitches. So you can't do a sock that is more than that, or it just won't work out. I think you could probably figure out the math, and you could do something twice as big probably, or you could do maybe 30 stitches, but it depends. I mean, on the Pac-Man one, you definitely couldn't, because it is 4 pictures that are all different. But on some of the other ones where there may be sheep or that sort of thing, you might be able to modify it. But in this case, you really have to stick to 60 stitches. And I think I did a 2.5 2 3/4 double pointed needles is what she's recommending here, so number 5s, and so that's a little bit different too. But anyway, it came out to a nice sock. I definitely wouldn't have any trouble wearing this myself if it were longer, because my feet are huge, but I was pretty happy with that. I have heard from some other folks that they do find it really fiddly, and they don't really like it, but I found once I kind of figured out how loose to knit or how tight to knit, that the second and third kind of rounds of things went much, much easier once I kind of got it figured out and got into the stride of things. So that came in the mail, and I was pretty happy to receive it. I didn't think, I knew this one was coming, but I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, and I pre-ordered it, so I wasn't exactly sure when it was going to come in. So I'm definitely going to start that next. So I think that's all that I wanted to talk about today. That's all that I had to share. I'm looking forward to a relaxing weekend. I go back on call for a couple of weeks on Tuesday. Things are going to get pretty busy again, and we're just kind of tucking in here at home. I'm looking forward to getting the house cleaned up. We actually got rid of a whole bunch of stuff today as we're doing kind of the purge. As the girls are getting older, there's just things they don't need anymore. They're not interested in playing with. And I have a friend that sells things on garage sale, so she takes them, I give them to her, she takes them, she sells it, she deals with things, and we split the profit, so that works out really, really well. And so a whole bunch of stuff left the house today, which is super exciting. So now I have to do the post cleanup, where you've kind of pulled everything out of the drawers, and then there's kind of little bits and bobs and stuff that has to get kind of put away. So that's this weekend. I'm hoping to just put my feet up tonight and do some knitting. I have a long run tomorrow, and I think that's kind of all that's going to be on the plate, hanging out with the kids and doing some stuff. So I hope you have a good weekend. I hope where you are it's starting to get a little bit warmer, and I hope that you will join me next time. Have a fantastic weekend. All the best. Take care. Bye now.